Let's be real, sometimes it's not easy to figure out whether a guy is just being nice or if he's actually feeling a deeper, more physical attraction towards you. But here's the thing, men are usually much more obvious than we think. The issue is, most people simply don't know what signals to pay attention to. So today, I'm going to walk you through 10 clear signs that show when a man is sexually attracted to you. Once you start noticing these things, you'll see interactions in a whole new light. They say the eyes never lie, and when it comes to attraction, that couldn't be truer. A man's eyes reveal much more than his words ever could. You see, most men try to stay cool, trying not to look too eager or too open about how they feel. But the moment his eyes rest on you for just a second longer than what's considered normal, that's a sign you shouldn't ignore. We all recognize what regular eye contact looks like. It's quick, polite, and has a reason behind it. But when his gaze meets yours and lingers a little too long, when he looks like he's in no hurry to turn away, that's not casual, that's attraction, pure and simple. It's one of the most primal ways a man's body shows that he's drawn to you on a deeper level. What makes eye contact so revealing is that it's something people can't easily control. Even the most disciplined person struggles to manage how long they look at someone they're attracted to. Think about it for a second. If you've ever liked someone, you know how hard it is to stop your eyes from finding them. You might tell yourself to play it cool, but your eyes always seem to give you away. Men are no different. He might try to act uninterested, but when you notice him scanning the room and his gaze keeps coming back to you again and again, that's a silent confession. His eyes are already being drawn to you before he even realizes it. And once you learn to notice it, you'll start spotting patterns that you may have missed before. One of the biggest clues is when his eyes move from yours down to your lips. This isn't random. It's not him being distracted, it's instinct. When a man's eyes flicker to your mouth while you're talking, it's his mind showing desire. It's the same instinct that makes your eyes lock on food when you're hungry. He's not trying to be disrespectful, and most of the time he doesn't even realize he's doing it. But that small glance, especially if it happens more than once, reveals that he's imagining closeness with you. It's subtle, but once you become aware of it, you'll start seeing it everywhere, and it'll be impossible to ignore. Another thing worth paying attention to is how he reacts when you catch him looking. If you lock eyes unexpectedly, what does he do? If he instantly looks away, like he's been caught doing something he shouldn't, that's attraction working in real time. He doesn't want to be caught staring because that would give away what he's feeling. On the flip side, if he holds your gaze and doesn't look away, embracing that little spark of tension, it shows confidence in how he feels. Both reactions mean the same thing deep down. He finds you captivating, and his eyes can't hide it. The only difference is whether he's bold enough to let it show or shy enough to cover it up. It's also fascinating to notice how his pupils behave, because this is something you can't fake. When someone is attracted, their pupils naturally widen. You don't need to stare too closely to notice it. Usually, you can just sense it. His eyes might look darker, more open, more focused on you. Combine that with the way his gaze lingers, and you have one of the clearest physical signs of sexual attraction. This isn't something he's choosing to do, it's his body reacting on its own. Attraction literally changes the way our eyes respond to what we see, and in that moment, you're the stimulus his brain can't resist. Then there's the scanning behavior. If you catch his eyes moving, not just staying on your face but briefly sliding down your body, you can almost guarantee it's attraction. Men who feel that pull often find themselves visually taking in your presence. He might try to hide it, glancing down quickly before looking back up, but that small repeated action says a lot. If he wasn't interested, his eyes wouldn't wander. When there's no attraction, there's nothing to hide. But when desire is involved, his brain is caught in a quiet struggle between being polite and giving in to instinct, and his eyes will constantly reveal which side side is winning. Finally, there's the warmth you feel when he looks at you. This isn't something you can measure, but you can absolutely feel it. You know the difference between someone looking at you out of courtesy and someone who can't stop themselves. His eyes soften, they linger longer, and there's a spark of tension that makes the world feel like it just got quieter around you. That's attraction, raw and unfiltered. You can sense it, not just in the duration of his gaze, but in the energy that forms between you, a silent exchange happening without either of you saying a single word. Another major sign that a man feels a physical pull toward you is the way he handles distance, or rather, how he tries to close it. Humans are naturally protective of their personal space, and most men don't just let anyone cross that invisible line. But when a man feels attraction, that barrier starts to fade. He'll lean in closer than he needs to when you're talking. Even if he can hear you perfectly well, he'll stand just a little nearer than what's socially expected. It's like his body wants to close the space between you, sending a message without him even realizing it. This change in proximity is one of the clearest unconscious signs of interest, because attraction makes people crave closeness. Think about it. When you like someone, you don't want them far away. You want to be near them. Men are the same. When they feel that magnetic pull, they'll look for little ways to get closer. If you're sitting at a table with a group, he'll take the seat next to you, rather than one across the table. If you're walking together, he'll naturally move close enough that your arms or shoulders might brush once in a while. These small adjustments aren't accidents, they're physical expressions of what's going on inside him. Even if he's not saying a word, his body language is speaking loud and clear. Even in group conversations, he'll subtly turn his body toward you, leaning in like the rest of the people have suddenly faded into the background. This isn't just random positioning, it's instinct. His attraction takes over his logic, and his body language quietly works to shorten the space between you. The next layer of this sign shows up through touch, and this part matters. We're not talking about big obvious moves. A man who feels a strong physical pull toward you will often start small, testing the waters with light, almost casual touches. A soft brush on your arm when he's making a point, a playful nudge when he's teasing you, a hand that stays just a little longer than it needs to when handing you something. All these small gestures carry meaning. They're made to look casual, but the feeling behind them is anything but casual. Touch is one of the oldest forms of human connection, and when he's drawn to you, he'll find any reason, no matter how small, to close that physical gap. One thing to notice is whether his touches seem to wait for your reaction. For instance, if he touches your arm during a conversation, does he lean in a little afterward, almost like he's testing your response? That moment says a lot. If you react warmly, he'll feel encouraged to do it again. If you pull back or stay still, he'll likely hold off. Attraction often moves through trial and error, and touch becomes his way of experimenting. What makes this so revealing is that men don't act this way with everyone. They can be friendly or polite with others, but that repeated, slightly lingering touch is saved for someone who stirs something deeper in them. There's also the matter of space and closeness in different settings. In a crowd, for example, a man who's attracted to you won't just end up near you by accident. He'll hover close enough for you to sense his presence. On a date, he'll sit where leaning in feels natural, almost like the two of you are creating your own private bubble. Even when you're with a group, his body will keep turning towards you, feet pointed in your direction, shoulders facing yours, torso angled your way. Psychologists call this body orientation, and it's one of the clearest signs of where someone's focus and attraction are. You'll notice that even as conversations shift and move around the group, his body stays connected to yours. Of course, not every man is bold enough to touch early on, but closeness alone can speak volumes. If you notice him hovering nearby, finding reasons to walk past you, or choosing the seat next to you when other spots are free, that's attraction showing itself. A man who's not interested won't keep closing the gap, but when he feels drawn in, he naturally wants to be close. That's the quiet power of proximity. It rarely happens by accident. It's almost always driven by something deeper, even if he doesn't consciously realize it himself. And then there's the way his energy shifts when he gets close. Closeness isn't just physical, it changes the atmosphere. When a man is drawn to you, even leaning in slightly can spark a kind of tension, an unspoken intimacy. You feel it in the way his voice softens when he's near, or how the conversation suddenly feels more personal, even if you're surrounded by people. That closeness makes the chemistry stronger. Every look, every small touch feels more charged. It's not only about being physically near, it's about reaching a space where distance feels unnatural and closeness feels like the only thing that makes sense. When a man is truly attracted to you, his body usually reveals it long before his words do. Body language is one of the most honest forms of communication because it skips the logical part of the brain. You can control your words, maybe even your facial expressions. But how you stand, how you move, and how you position yourself, those things are much harder to fake. When a man feels pulled toward you, his body almost automatically adjusts to show confidence, attention, and openness. These small physical cues, once you start noticing them, make it nearly impossible to confuse attraction with simple friendliness. One of the clearest signals is the way he positions himself when you're around. If a man likes you, he doesn't stand with closed-off body language. Instead, he'll angle his body toward you, torso, feet, and shoulders all pointing your way. It's his subconscious way of giving you full attention, showing that you have his focus. Closed-off gestures like crossed arms, turned away feet, or a slouched posture can suggest distance or disinterest. But when every part of his stance points towards you, it's his body literally aligning itself with yours. Even in a group, if his body keeps facing you while others shift and move, that's attraction pulling him towards you again and again. Another powerful signal is something called mirroring. Mirroring happens when someone unconsciously copies the actions or gestures of the person they're interested in. You cross your legs, and a few seconds later, he does too. You lean forward, and he mirrors that. You take a sip of your drink, and he does the same without thinking. It's not something planned, it's instinct, a natural way to build a sense of connection, of being in sync. Mirroring is the body's way of saying, I'm in tune with you. If you catch him imitating your gestures without realizing it, that's one of the strongest non-verbal signs that he's drawn to you. Posture is another big one. When a man is attracted to someone, his body naturally reacts by standing taller, pulling his shoulders back and squaring his chest. It's almost primal. His body wants to show strength, confidence, and masculinity. Even a man who usually slouches will straighten up around someone who catches his interest. On some level, he's trying to look his best, showing he's capable, grounded, and worth your attention. This quiet form of showing off, sometimes called peacocking, isn't a conscious performance. It's his instincts trying to make an impression. When you walk into a room and notice his posture change instantly, his chest lifts, his stance becomes more open. That's his body reacting before he even thinks about it. You're seeing attraction play out in real time. His actions might seem small, but they carry weight. Every slight lean, every soft touch, every shift toward you is his body's way of speaking what his words haven't yet said. It's communication that doesn't need sound, only presence. When you start reading these cues, the tilt of his body, the direction of his feet, the way he subtly mirrors your movements, you begin to see the story his body is telling. It's the unspoken language of attraction, and once you understand it, you'll notice how clear it really is. Because no matter how much someone tries to hide it, attraction always finds a way to show itself through movement, energy, and space. His words might be calm, but his body gives him away every single time. Gestures can reveal much more than words ever could. Notice the small signs of nervous energy, like when he fidgets with his fingers, adjusts his shirt, or runs a hand through his hair. These tiny movements often increase when a man feels attracted because his body is releasing nervous tension. At the same time, you might see him using broader gestures while speaking, taking up more space, spreading his arms wider, or moving with more energy. It's a natural, unconscious attempt to appear more confident and appealing. Both types of movements tell a story. The nervous ones show excitement he's trying to control, and the larger gestures show his desire to keep your attention on him. Proximity in body language is another powerful clue. More than just standing nearby, notice how his body leans in your direction, even when he's sitting still. During a conversation, does he tilt his head closer? Does his posture subtly angle toward you, closing the space between you? Even the smallest lean forward is his body's way of saying, I want to be nearer to you, I want to stay connected. When he's not interested, the opposite happens. He'll lean back, create distance, or shift away. But when attraction is present, his body moves closer almost on its own, like there's an invisible pull drawing him toward you. Expressions tell another part of the story. A man who's sexually drawn to you often shows what experts call micro-expressions, tiny, fleeting flashes of emotion that are almost impossible to hide. It might be a quick eyebrow lift when you say something teasing, a brief bite of his lip, or a smile that lingers just a moment too long. These aren't planned or practiced. They're honest slips that reveal what he's truly feeling. When you combine these expressions with other cues, mirroring your movements, matching your posture, leaning in, a complete picture begins to form, one that words alone could never describe. One of the most fascinating ways to sense attraction is by listening, not just observing. A man's voice changes when he's drawn to someone, and often he doesn't even notice it himself. The rhythm, the tone, and the pace all shift the moment he feels that spark. He may lower his voice slightly, speaking in a deeper, steadier tone, instinctively trying to sound more confident and masculine. Or he might become more lively, his energy rising as he talks with you. Both reactions reveal the same truth. Your presence has changed his usual way of speaking. When a man feels that pull of attraction, you might notice his voice becoming softer when he speaks to you directly. He may lower his volume so that it feels like the conversation belongs just to the two of you, even in a crowded room. This softer tone isn't just about being private, it's about creating closeness, like he's inviting you into a smaller, more personal space. If you've ever had someone lean in and talk just a little quieter than needed, you know how intimate that feels. It turns an ordinary exchange into something charged with meaning. But many men react the opposite way. When they're attracted, their energy suddenly spikes. They become more talkative, tell stories with more enthusiasm, laugh louder, or exaggerate their gestures. Why? Because attraction makes people want to impress. Showing energy is a way of saying, I want to keep you interested. If he seems livelier and more expressive with you than with anyone else, that's not random. It's his way of signaling that you matter to him. You can often see this difference clearly when you compare how he acts in a group versus how he behaves when he's focused on you. Another subtle clue lies in the speed of his speech. Around someone he desires, a man might start talking faster or stumble over his words as if his mind is racing ahead of his mouth. That nervous excitement spills into his tone, quick, eager, maybe even laughing at moments that aren't really funny. On the other hand, he might slow down his pace, speaking more deliberately, choosing his words carefully to make the moment last longer. Both styles show the same thing. You've thrown off his usual rhythm, and he's unconsciously adapting because he's feeling the pull of attraction. Listen, too, to how his tone changes when he teases or flirts. When men are drawn to someone, their voice often becomes more playful. They might toss in little jokes, witty remarks, or teasing comments to see how you respond. His tone may shift into something lighter, more melodic, almost sing-song. That change isn't only about being funny. It's about testing the chemistry and seeing if the spark is mutual. If his voice sounds more playful when he's talking to you than when he's speaking with others, it's a strong hint that there's more behind his words than casual interest. Even silence plays its part. A man who's attracted might pause more often, leaving quiet spaces in the conversation that make everything feel a bit more charged. Those small pauses, where he holds your gaze, hesitates, or simply doesn't rush to fill the air, can speak volumes. They build anticipation, that feeling that something deeper could happen at any second. And these pauses aren't planned. They happen naturally because he's caught between wanting to connect and being afraid to reveal too much too soon. Laughter, too, gives away more than most people realize. Notice how often he laughs when he's with you. How freely, how quickly. When attraction kicks in, humor feels magnified. He laughs louder, easier, and more often at your jokes, even the simple ones. His energy seems brighter because your presence excites him. That excitement escapes through laughter, making it one of the most obvious signs of interest. You can see the contrast clearly when you compare how he behaves around others versus when he's with you. When his laughter sounds warmer, his smile lasts longer, and his energy seems more alive, it's a clear signal that his attraction runs deeper than he might admit. One of the strongest indicators of attraction is where his attention goes. In a world full of distractions, phones buzzing, people talking, constant noise, attention has become the rarest form of affection. When a man is sexually attracted to you, he doesn't just notice you, he focuses on you. You become the center of his awareness. His attention shifts from the background noise of the world to the presence of one person, you. You'll see it in how he listens, how his eyes linger on you, and how he seems to block out everything else, just to stay tuned in to what you're saying. Think about what happens in group situations. If there are several people chatting and laughing, where is his focus? When attraction is present, you'll notice that his laughter, his reactions, and his engagement seem to revolve around you more than anyone else. Even when someone else is speaking, he might glance in your direction to catch your reaction before responding. That's his subconscious way of giving you importance. His mind is wired to seek your approval above others. His focus naturally orbits around you no matter how many people are in the room.